Want to impress your friends and say that you've been here and climbed that? I can help you get there. Let's get into it. So Wizard Island is the iconic island in Crater Lake National Park, which is located in the southern Oregon Cascades. So after Mount Mazama erupted, the caldera collapsed. And after the caldera collapsed, there were subsequent smaller eruptions for the next several hundred years. And one of those eruptions formed Wizard Island that we see today. So Wizard Island is known as a cinder cone. So basically when it erupts magma out into the air, which solidifies and drops as cinder, and it would collect in the cone shape that you see today. And what's amazing is Wizard Island actually rises around 2,700 feet from the bottom of Crater Lake, which gives it a different sort of scale when you think about that what you're actually seeing is only a small portion of that. So to get to Wizard Island, you have to book a boat tour in advance through explorercraterlake.com. I'll put in a link below in the description. So you can either just take a shuttle that shuttles you out to Wizard Island and you'll get 3 hours on the island, or you can do a combination of shuttle and tour. So they'll shuttle you out to Wizard Island, you'll get 3 hours on the island, and then when they pick you back up, they'll tour around the rest of the lake. That will take about 5 hours. So at the time of this recording, to take the shuttle out to Wizard Island was about $32 per adult and $20 for kids. So if you opt out to do the tour and the shuttle, then your cost is running more like $60 per adult and $48 per kid. So once you have your reservations, you have to make your way to the Cleetwood Cove Trail. It's actually on the north end of the national park along the East Rim Drive. If you haven't seen my video on the Cleetwood Trail yet, I'll put it in the description. Be sure to watch that so you know what to expect, because you have to factor in your time to make your way down the Cleetwood Trail to get on the boat shuttle at a particular time. So keep that in mind when booking this trip. In addition, after this year, the Park Service is closing down the Cleetwood Trail for renovations, and there won't be any boat tours until they're predicting 2029. So this is a quick rundown of how the boat tour works. Once you've made your reservation online, and there's a couple different options, usually there's one first thing in the morning, or there might be one during midday. If you arrive midday, keep in mind that you still have to park and make your way down the trail. And because this is a very popular trail, parking might be limited, so give yourself a little extra time for parking, just in case. So after you've parked, there's a ticket booth that you go check in for your boat tours or shuttle. Once when you've checked in, they'll give you a number and a sign-on sheet. You'll have to remember this number because it's very important, because it allows them to know who gets on the island and who gets off when you're checking in. You sign your name of everyone in your party and they'll give you a ticket. So once you receive your ticket, you make your way down the Cleetwood Cove Trail to the boat ramp. Once you get to the bottom, there is another ticket booth that you check in. If you have little ones under 12, they're required to wear safety vests. This is where you'll get those safety vests. So after you've got your tickets and you checked in, you board the boat and you take the 15 to 20 minute boat shuttle to Wizard Island. When you arrive, they give you a quick lay of the land of the island, as well as a safety tutorial, and then you can disembark and have about 3 hours on the island. So now that you finally reached Wizard Island, what are the trail stats to reach the summit? Well, the summit's only 2.4 miles round trip with a total elevation gain of 761 feet. However, that's not including the Cleetwood Trail. So because you have to take the Cleetwood Trail down to the boat and then do the summit of Wizard Island, your total stats are going to be 4.5 miles round trip with a total elevation gain of 1,371 feet. So as soon as you get off the boat, the first thing you notice is that the geology of the island is quite new. It's very apparent that the island is very new with the lava rocks versus what you witnessed on the rim of Crater Lake. And because of this, those lava rocks are very unstable and they're very loose. So keep that in mind when you're venturing around the island, that please be sure of your footing, because those lava rocks are very sharp. So once you start hiking from the boat dock, you make your way kind of toward the left a little bit until you reach an intersection. When you reach this intersection, you want to go right. This will take you to the summit. The trail starts off by climbing through mostly trees, and the higher you go, the more things start to open up and the views get a little better. The topography is quite interesting. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's very, very apparent that you're on new land on a cinder cone in the middle of Crater Lake. It's quite stunning. As you climb, you get less and less shade as you near the top of Wizard Island and the summit. So bring your sunscreen because it does get hot and that sun does reflect off those lava rocks. So the trail is always climbing consistently until you get to the top. And when you get to the top, you get amazing views down into the crater of the top of Wizard Island and a 365-degree view of Crater Lake. And from here, there's a trail that goes around the crater of Wizard Island. It's about 300 feet wide and 100 feet deep. And you can go to the bottom of the crater on top of Wizard Island, which I did. And to give you a sense of scale, I am in here. I'm right there. So is it worth going down to the bottom of the crater on the summit of Wizard Island? Yeah, I found it to be worth it. There's nothing really interesting down there. Just note, you're in a crater in a volcano that's located in a crater of another volcano. So even if you don't make your way down there, the views at the top on the crater rim are beautiful, stretching out over Crater Lake to the rim of Mount Mazama. It's quite stunning. It's amazing. It takes an average person maybe 1 to 2 hours to complete the journey, which gives you a little bit of extra time to fish, swim, lounge around, just to enjoy the island. So just being on the island gives Crater Lake a new perspective and a deeper appreciation. The island's beautiful, the summit's amazing, the views are amazing. That is why this hike is the gold standard. I want to give a shout out to the tour company. They do a phenomenal job and it's well run. In fact, we got really lucky on our shuttle over to Wizard Island that the Old Man of the Lake happened to be on the way there. And they made a special detour so we could all enjoy it. So if you don't know what the Old Man of the Lake is, it's a vertically floating log that's been around in Crater Lake, wandering around for over 100 years. It's kind of a legend. It was one of the things that was on my bucket list, and typically that's saved for the actual tour, not the shuttle. So props to them. They do a great job. It's too bad that this is going to be closed for the next several years, but I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to climb Wizard Island before they close. But let me know in the comments if you've climbed it and what your experience was. And if you like this video, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.